Hey there, what's up? This channel first was created by me to talk about music, to upload contents, music content. Turns out, I don't know if you know me or if you read my description here on my bio. I'm a doctor. I'm a physician, and now I am under specialization in psychiatry. And I've been thinking to myself, how is the pandemic and how is the quarantine affecting our minds? I was obviously thinking on this, applying to myself, how it was affecting my mind. I started to feel really uncomfortable with the situation. I'm living in Argentina. I'm Brazilian, but I live in Argentina. It's been almost 11 years old. 11 years. And I'm studied here. I graduated here, and I've decided to work here and live here in Argentina. And I don't know if you know, but it's been 6 months that we've been locked out. So the quarantine in Argentina is the largest quarantine in the world. And obviously that you already heard or read in somewhere, or you heard in some noticiary or some program. We are human beings, and the human beings are social animals. We need the social contact. We need this social contacts with the others. And I was thinking how people are suffering, how are the symptoms they are manifesting in their lives, and how they are dealing with this. As a physician, it's my duty to say and to introduce this to the people who don't manage the terminology of medical terminology. And there are a lot of symptoms in mental health that are really, the people are really ignorant about. And it's really important to make you know and to show that maybe you are undergoing one of these processes. These processes are anxiety, depression, and bipolar disorder. So we are undergoing a very hard process. Everyone in the world, maybe it's easier in one country, maybe it's harder in some other. Moreover, if you're dealing with a lot of other processes, and depending of how was your mind before, how was your body before, or depending when we were hit by the quarantine wave and the pandemic wave, depending on how you were before and how is your mind structure or your past as a family or whatever you've been through your life, depending on how you were in all this history, all the story, you can go, your mind can split and go in some other direction. I learned in med school one thing that is so important for me and as a physician in my practice as a physician, and is important for me in my life. The person who gets sick, they don't want to get sick. They can get sick. It means that you must have a little. You must you must take. You must fill blanks in some terms. That I'm sorry, I got a little lost in my mind, in my thinking. You must have some items for you to get sick. One of the items the most important items on mental health is the isolation, social isolation. When the person is passing through a social isolation, it's studied. There are a lot of articles telling and showing with numbers that we are more we have a tendency to suffer more from mental disorders. I'm here as I am a resident of psychiatry, and before that I was dealing in my career with a lot of patients with mental disorders. And one thing that we can find in the clinical practice is that the social isolation is one of the best or the worst factor to create and to begin or to trigger a mental disorder or a crisis during a mental disorder. So I was thinking, how was the quarantine affecting my own mind, and how is the quarantine might be affecting the mind of the others in the world. Obviously, we are all different, but at the same time, we are all the same. This is an axiom in medicine. So, personally, I'm feeling really anxious in my life. I'm really pissed off that I need to be locked on my house, and I need to take a permission, and I need to use the face mask. And it's been derivated to a lot of things in my life. So I'm feeling more aggressive. I'm feeling more tired, although I'm not doing anything. I am feeling that my circadian cycle, which means that the nights and the days are planning with themselves. I'm feeling like I'm sleeping more than I should or than I used to sleep. And I'm feeling a little depressed. So these were the first thing that I noticed when I started to think. And then I started research, and I found that in Brazil, in Argentina, in Chile, in Spain, in Sweden, in Italy, in the United States, the rates of depression, of bipolar disorders, and anxiety are increasing. People are searching for help, and when you make some questions about the people, a lot of them are showing that they are stressed, that they are feeling depressed, and they are manifesting symptoms of bipolar disorders. So here, this video is to show you and to tell how we medically, and maybe if you don't know how are the symptoms, for example, when we think that somebody is depressed, what do you think? Most of my friends or my family think that a person who's depressed is a person who wants to be laid down in the bed all day long, or who wants to kill themselves. It's more than black and white. It's a large gray. We use a terminology, we use a classification to say if the person is depressed or not. And it's called DSM-5. It's a terminology that is used by psychiatrists and psychologists in the whole world to describe all the mental disorders, and it's described by symptoms. See, okay? Then according to the symptoms you're presenting and according to the time lapse you're presenting these symptoms, you might have this disorder. And I am really aware that sometimes we make mistakes as a physicians, and sometimes we entitle some person and we put some person in a box, and then sometimes we make mistakes, but it's really accurate, this terminology, this book, the SM5. I will start explaining to you what is the depression. Okay, the depression is there are basically two animals disorder. The animals disorder is the disorder of the mind energy. We have energy in our minds, but it's not energy that we can deal with, we can measure. It's more about willing energy. For us to do what we do, to wake up, to have a breakfast, to have lunch, and then to do all our activities in our days, we need a will energy. That will energy depends on a lot of things. One of the things is that we are, according to what is happening to our lives, that we have a social role, then in that we have social contact with the people. We never think about this in our lives till we are passing through moments like this. We're passing through a moment that a lot of people, basically a lot of people who doesn't need to go out, are staying on their houses. They're not having contact to anyone. Their job was completely changed. The way that you work is changing. No one was prepared for this. We are all having the impact of this in our lives. We doctors and nurses and all the persons in healthcare are dealing with so much more stress than we had before. That we are receiving people with different pathology. We are receiving people even more aggressive. I've been watching a lot of videos in the internet, and what is happening to people? A lot of aggressivities. You only have violence. The violence is one of the symptoms, okay, of anxiety. For example, I'm in a parking lot, and then comes somebody look to me, and I don't like the way they look to me, so I'm starting to say things to them, and then we punch each other. These are symptoms, okay? So I was talking about the animals disorder. So we can have two types of animals disorder. The most common is the depression. Is when your will energy goes down. When the will's energy goes down, and this it's the time lapse of this lack of energy, like it's called a bulia. This will energy, when you don't have energy, when you don't feel that you want to do something, that you want to go out of the bed, or when you don't want to go work, you need to complete some time, so we can say that it's a depression. We talk about 1 month, 4 weeks, okay? If it's less than this, is to call major depression, when you are feeling this way and you're not functional. And when it's less than 4 weeks, we call minor depression. If it's more than 4 weeks with all those symptoms and you're not functional, you are in a major depression. This video is not to teach medical terms. It's to make you aware that we are under pressure. We are passing through a moment, and we need to know what is happening to our minds and to our bodies. I really believe that our minds are going to be more affected by all of this thing, all those shit we've been through, than our bodies. Okay. The social isolation is I already said this. The social isolation is one of the most important trigger to mind disorders, and to trigger mind in a pre-existent mind disorder. So when I'm talking about depression, and I already told that when we personally, as a physician, think about depression, we think about a person who doesn't want to do anything. But there are a lot of other symptoms. Maybe you are out of the bed, maybe you can do the things of your life, but you have lack of sexual pulse, and you're getting weight or losing weight. Maybe you're losing sleep. Maybe you're having problems to having a relation with people who is around you, and you're feeling like your life is not the same, or maybe you have ruined thinkings. First of all, I'm sorry if I'm saying a little land, or if I get lost sometimes. It's the first time that I talk about this in English, and although I speak English, the terminology sometimes, goes out of my mind. And when we're talking about those things, and there are a lot of things. On another thing, if you're feeling that you used to do something and now you don't feel that you want to do this anymore, when you used to feel pleasure doing something and now you feel that it doesn't fit you anymore, or doesn't feel you anymore, this is all of this during more than 4 weeks are characterized as depression. The other disorder that I want to talk about is the anxiety. The anxiety is it's a disorder who is increasing around the world before the pandemic, but with the pandemic, it's increasing. It's increasing even more. The anxiety is a disorder. It's the most common disorder of the human mind, and it affects, I guess, 30% of the population. What are the symptoms? Symptoms that you feel that your heart is, it's been squeezed, palpitation, and the anxious, when you feel anxious, sweat, or the simple fact that your mind can't stop thinking in something. The other pathology that I want to make you aware with is the bipolar disorder. The bipolar disorder is the other hand of the animal disorder. I already talked about depression, and the causing, let's say this like this for you to understand. The causing of the disorder, of the depression disorder, is the bipolar disorder. The bipolar disorder, it's a disorder in which you're willing, instead of going down, it goes up. It increase is a normal increase of willing in our minds. So when I heard this for the first time in med school, I thought, what's wrong to be with our willing increased? What's wrong to have this increased? Turns out that it's too much. Our minds can receive. It's a line. There are a limit that we can manage. When we have a lot of willing energy in our minds, our minds start to I don't know how to say, start to spend this energy in a different way and in a very dangerous way. The different way that we start to spend this amount of energy that we have in our mind are through a lot of body exercising, reading, but you start to make a lot of things, a lot. When I say a lot of things, I mean I've seen patients reading 30 books at the same time. And obviously you can't do this. And then you can do this one, you can do this two, you can do this three, or shopping. I want to shop, I go to the mall shopping and I start to buy a lot of things, but nothing can feel, and I can't drain this energy to anything. And so I start to do a lot of things. And then I start to make sex with a lot of people, with 40 people in a week. Obviously, these are conduct that you're having that is it's putting yourself in danger. The bipolar, when we say that when you have these symptoms for at least 1 week, you are considered it's called a maniatic, I guess is in English, and you're considered bipolar. The risk of the bipolar is that to drain that excess of energy, they may put themselves in danger. If you're feeling this, if you're feeling depressed, if you're feeling anxious, if you're feeling that you're having one of those symptoms of bipolar disorder, please, I beg you, please call someone. Please go to the hospital. Please go to some emergency. You need help. Obviously, nowadays, all of the attention after this first intervention is going to be by teleconference. But there are a lot of medications that can help with therapy at the same time, mind therapy, obviously. And I think that this video is too long, and I hope you could understand that we are all in the world passing through something that can affect our minds, and this something, it's basically the isolation. If you are in a country that it's not forbidden to go to the street, and if you can go to see your family, please go to see them. Please keep in touch, obviously using the mask if you want to protect yourself or want to protect them. And one thing that we can do to protect our minds from this, it's one of the things is having contact with the nature. Basically, I need to say that the music in this quarantine saved my life. I was feeling real depressed. I know if you I don't think I told about this in the channel, but I am in recovery from a very large car crash. I basically broke my arms. I have a exposure fracture in my arms. I have surgery. Look the size of the scar here and here. I have broken my C4, my cervical vertebra. I almost got tetraplegic, and I've broken my sternum, and I've been through a lot of things in 2019 and 2020, and obviously you might be having a very hard time right now, and if you were having a very hard time, then come the pandemic and puts you in a shaker, basically. We are under pressure, and we are under the risk to having mental problems, and it's really important to be informed and to be aware of what they are, how they can appear and how they can affect us. Okay, so thank you a lot. I hope you like the video. I hope you subscribe to the channel. And more of music, I'll be talking about these things later. And if you want me to say about something about medicine, about mental health, about body health, about whatever, about philosophy, whatever, we can do this. I can make another video later, and I promise I'll do it. Okay, thank you very much.